All right, we're back with the panel. Again, Imogen Lloyd-Webber, Tim Carney, Sam Seder. Our specialist today, joining us from Houston, Texas, former president and CEO of Shell Oil's U.S. operations, John Hofmeister, who is now with Citizens for Affordable Energy. And John, it's a pleasure to see you again. I want to bring something up that we haven't talked about in a little while, but it really struck me when we did, which is I asked you on, and I think it was a podcast a few months ago, I said, do you think it's possible to get all the energy from the Earth from above its surface as opposed to below its surface and use the surface of the Earth as a demarcation? I expected you to laugh in my face, and instead you said, I think it's possible. Will you expound on that a little bit?
Yes, in fact, I described the plan in my book, Why We Hate the Oil Companies. It's about really capturing the free energy of wind and sun and water and putting the technologies to work that will efficiently take that energy and turn it into electrons, turn it into hydrogen, which could fuel our transportation. There's all kinds of technology options. Of course, it comes with a cost. Of course, there's a transition requirement. But this is also what I write about. We have never had an energy plan in this country that's worked. We deal with two-year political cycles in the Congress and two-year political cycles in the White House. And on those short-term political cycles, no rational planning, short-term, medium-term, long-term, ever takes place. If we're going to do what you and I would like to see happen 50, 60 years down the road, we have to change the governance of energy, and we have to eliminate the special interest money that surrounds energy, both sides.
How do you propose we begin doing that?
I think we need a congressional act with a president's support that creates an independent regulatory agency, a commission, to govern energy. Get it out of Congress, get it away from the White House. They've failed 8 presidents in a row, 19 Congresses in a row. And while people don't like the idea of a so-called anti-democratic independent regulatory commission, guess what? It works for money. It could work for energy. This whole subject is too complex for 535 members on 2-year cycles or brilliant presidents, the last 8 in a row. They've all failed. So we can continue on the current path and go right down the tubes as China and India demand ever more traditional energy. Or we could actually go to the basic issue we have, and that is how we govern energy, and fix that.
Tim?
Well, I agree with you, John, that the idea of, politicians, 535 guys trying to pick this and that doesn't work. They pick solar one day, cellulosic ethanol, wind the next day, carbon capture and sequestration, which Shell used to do, which Shell does today, another day. But isn't the real sort of distributed thing not a bunch of bureaucrats picking, but the free market? If you don't like foreign oil, slap a tariff on foreign oil or put a price on carbon. There are lots of ways to do it without some bureaucracy getting involved. How are they going to be different than 535 politicians?
Well, I would submit we lost the free market forces decades ago. Energy is one of the most regulated industries that we have, and I don't see that changing. I just think the free market forces lost their way, don't have a way forward, and so let's fix it in the way we know how. Monetary management faced the same problem 100 years ago. I think we fixed it with the Fed.
Sam?
I'm just curious, when you talk about special interests that have destroyed the process, I mean, who are we talking about? Because we hear special interests all the time, but specifically, who are we talking about?
We're talking about every part of the energy supply system, whether it's wind or solar, hydropower, nuclear, oil, gas, coal, that's special interest. And then on the other side, whether it's Sierra Club, NRDC, Center for American Progress, on and on and on, you name it. We just know how to have a food fight through the special interest process with the idea that whoever throws the most money at the problem has the best chance of winning. I think that's really sick.
Well, who is throwing the most money? I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, we could talk about there's different people on different sides of this trying to agitate. But, I mean, at the end of the day, isn't it a function of the oil industry is distorting this whole process?
GE spends more than Exxon on lobbying, Sam. I mean, that's an important point, is that you've got the green energy lobby is very powerful, just as much as the oil lobby is.
But isn't it about helping the emerging markets? At the end of the day, they're the ones using oil in a way we did 40 years ago. And, you know, it's being mentioned earlier, India and China, it's about helping them with the green energy, even more than us.
But in
surely.
some ways, John, isn't it easier for emerging economies, the same way we see with telecom, the wireless networks in developing countries frequently are better than our own because they don't have a legacy infrastructure. Are we seeing emerging energy economies in other countries because they don't have the legacy we do?
Well, they do arguably have the ability to leapfrog, and we're stuck with a 100-year-old legacy system. But let's look at it this way. China is on the pathway to go from 9 million barrels a day consumption 5 years from now to 15 million barrels a day. That's 6 million new barrels. Guess what they're doing? They are putting direct loans into state-owned oil companies to contract for oil and not buy it off the global trading market. They're going to make sure they get their oil, and they're going to take those 6 million additional barrels plus the 9, and they're going to just get it by direct contracting. We're going to be trading for it, and we're going to be the ones who lose out. And between now and 2015, we're still going to need 20 million barrels a day, and we're only producing 7. We're headed for some serious trouble here.
All right, listen, John, I hope you'll stay in the conversation with us as we're so invested in trying to at least highlight some of the problems that you were just discussing. I really want to thank the three of you for the conversation today. Very nice to see every last one of you. I understand a couple of you haven't been sleeping so well as a result of your children. I hope that the children will sleep. I won't say who, but we can judge from the circles under their eyes, Imogen. We know who. You and I know who.
Yeah, we know who.
Have a good week, you guys. Thanks.